Welcome to Spiritual as Fuck.
Spiritual as fuck.
Where spirituality meets the real world. I'm Liz Volpe, social entrepreneur, psychic medium, teacher, and founder of the Intuition Academy. I am passionate about inspiring people to dream big and change the world.
I'm Diane Driscoll, a coach, facilitator, keynote speaker, and self-directed healing practitioner. I am fascinated with all things science, spirituality, and self-leadership, and love the journey of incorporating my spiritual gifts into my life and business.
We share real and raw spiritual stories, give you a safe space to challenge what's normal, and have some serious fun along the way. If the podcast isn't enough, we invite you to our monthly online events and workshops with some of the world's best spiritual teachers.
Plus, join our Spiritual Renegades community and get bonus episodes and lots of exclusive content. Everything you need to be spiritual as fuck. Have you heard about Alchemy, the experience? It's not just a retreat, it's a portal to transformation, awakening, and deep connection. Be one of 20 beautiful souls to join Liz and I in Ubud, Bali, for 5 days transformative experience from the 16th to the 21st of May. Places are selling fast, so do not miss out on this opportunity to transform your soul and ignite your magic. Everything you need to know is in the show notes. In today's episode, we interview Alison Oborn from Haunted Horizons Ghost Tours. Alison is an author, radio personality, and longtime paranormal researcher. She is also the founder-owner of Adelaide's Haunted Horizons Ghost Tours, which take people to some of the most haunted locations in South Australia. Alison was clearly meant for this work, as she was actually born into a haunted house. So join us now as we enter the world of haunted houses and ghostly goings-on.
Okay, welcome back, everyone. Now, Diane and I had a little chit chat and we realized that we've not really spoken about anything scary for a while. Well, I guess everyone classes different things as scary, but I know for me personally, there's one subject that I've mentioned that absolutely terrifies me. Even though I am a medium, I'm so scared of ghosts. I've tried to go on at least 3 ghost tours in my life, and every single time I'm having like heart palpitations, my hands are getting sweaty, and I've actually turned around and left. So today we thought, let's bring in an expert in the field of all ghostly goings on, and I'd love to welcome Alison today. Welcome, Alison.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good for now. Maybe I won't be at the end of this interview. I might be really scared. We'll see.
I'm going to interrupt and say, I don't know about the expert. Is there any experts in the field?
Yeah, that's a good one. But maybe with someone with an expert in terms of experiences, there's probably lots of stories.
We'll go with that. Definitely more expert than us.
Yeah. Now, I want to kind of dive in because, I mean, I've had a few experiences with the other side. But one thing I found so interesting about your story was the fact that it didn't just happen kind of later on in life. You were actually born in a bloody haunted house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Holy shit. Can we start there? Like, when did you realize it was haunted? What happened? How old was you?
It was weird because I didn't know it was haunted until probably 18 years old when I truly moved out. But I knew I was terrified of this house. I was born into it.
Yeah.
And I think I was there for about 4 years. And then we moved down I don't know if you know in England, the back lanes that you have in England.
Oh, yes.
We moved down the back lane to a bigger house down the lane. And I could not go past that house. I was terrified of that house. My friend lived 2 doors down. I used to have to go around the whole block to go to her house rather than walk up that back lane, which would have been quicker. And right up to 21, I still couldn't walk past that house. Just the look of the house just terrified me, but it was a boring house. It was just your everyday terraced house. You wouldn't think anything of it.
Did you get a vibe though? Like you just, you were sensing there was something scary in there?
I think I had more happen in it than a child remembers. My 2 memories, there's only 2 memories of that house. One was waking up and hearing heavy male breathing in the house, in the room with me.
Oh,
nobody was there. It was a male, very raspy, like he was struggling to breathe. And I remember screaming and crying. The second memory was my brother used to have all the cool toys. So, and I'm a bit of a tomboy. So, yeah, I don't know if you remember Doctor Who and the wind-up Daleks that used. Well, I'm older than you, but we used to have Daleks that were like the wind-up ones.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I used to love playing with them and the cars and stuff. So I snuck into his bedroom one day, and it was like a scene out of Poltergeist. The toys actually started moving across the floor on their own. And that terrified me as well. So they're my only two memories of that house. I don't have any childhood memories apart from that. So, and I guess that's what drew me into it for all my life. I was terrified of the dark. When I met my husband in my 20s, I was still sleeping with a light on in the room. Either had to be the hallway light on or the light in the bedroom had to be on because I was that scared of the dark because of this house. But I was still moth to the flame, find out what it was. And I was quite happy to find a natural answer. It didn't have to be supernatural. It had to be just an answer. So, of course, my parents didn't tell me because they used to apparently tell us that it wasn't haunted, silly things like that. My sisters were terrified. They would see disembodied eyes in the corner of the room, no body eyes, and the eyes would move across the room. My mother was the only one who saw him. And she woke up to find him at the foot of her bed. And she said the one thing she remembered was the eyes were protruding. So eyes were a big thing. And she said to the neighbour, I think it was a big thing. She went to the neighbour and she said, did you ever have reports from the last owners about it? And she said, it sounds like, when she described the eye, she said, that sounds extremely like somebody I know. And she produced a photo and it was that guy. And when you have a thyroid problem, it makes your eyes protrude. He had a thyroid problem, a bit like the old comedian Marty Feldman used to have protruding eyes because he had it as well. Now, this guy that lived in the house he might have been drunk and fallen over a wall on New Year's Eve, leaving a pub and got head injuries, got taken to the hospital, but he never recovered. Or he was mugged. Nobody knows. But his wife sold it to us because she couldn't hack the house anymore. She kept feeling his arms around her, apparently, according to the neighbour. So he wasn't a bad person, but it terrified the kids that lived there. We were so scared of that house.
I mean, this sounds honestly absolutely terrifying. And I have to just backtrack slightly. You walked in the room and the toys are floating.
No, they weren't floating because they're a wind-up toy, which makes them, you turn the key in the room. So the Daleks, I think he had two of them and a car. I just remember I walked into the room and they just started up and went across the carpet.
So nobody listening.
There was nobody else in the bed. I was sneaking in because I'm not supposed to be in his room, so I know he wasn't in the room.
So did you run out as fast as you can?
I just remember screaming again. It was a scary. My sisters, even today, have a phobia. One can't use old style wardrobes. She has to have the built-ins because wardrobe doors in the bedroom that used to open and shut all the time. There's certain things that have stayed with us all our life, and so.
Alison, you say, okay, Liz and I are sitting here gasping in, take some breaths.
I've got no time.
I know, imagine this, and it's nearly 50. I can't even imagine a child going through this in real life.
Yeah.
You say then, you know, that obviously it wasn't until you were 18 and then you were walking past the house and you were feeling things kind of energetically or kind of foreboding about it. But then you say moth to the flame, and now considering the work that you do, what was it? What was it that made you kind of push through and be intrigued enough that, hey, I want to make this my life's work, because it has been.
I mean, I have to thank him. I do know Dr. Miller is his name. I do have to thank him. So if he's
Hey, Dr. Miller.
Thank you, Dr. Miller, because you're the one that started all this. If it hadn't been for that house, I probably wouldn't be doing it. You hear this all the time with people. Why are you in this field? Why are you looking for stuff? And a lot of people will say because they've connected, touched it, felt it, and it's become a driving force to experience it again or find out what it was. And I just think once you are touched by it, it is an overwhelming thing. You just keep looking. So fell into it when I came here to Australia. I actually started in the UFO field. I mean, I'd always been dabbling with it. I will say in England up until I left. I wasn't fully researching it, but I was dabbling, if you like, doing ITC experiments in the day of reel-to-reel recorders because I'm old. But then when I came here, I got into the UFO field, and it was never sitting with me, the UFO field. It wasn't my main love. It was something, but it wasn't my main love. And then I found teams, joined teams for ghost hunting, decided that wasn't the way we wanted to do it, formed my own team, and it's gone from there, really. And then I learned that it isn't like the movies.
Yes.
Like
not like
it isn't going to
Ghostbusters.
spin around and you're going to vomit, green vomit and stuff like that. And the fear is still there sometimes. I'm not going to deny it. It is a deep fear from that house when I'm in the dark on my own. But now it's more adrenaline. I guess more excitement than it was fear. So
it's so interesting. I mean, I really, rebel with a cause here. I really relate because I grew up in a house that was completely haunted. And my dad used to always be like, no, nothing's happening. And it was only, when I became an adult that he admitted loads of things. And that I got that, like, oh, I knew it. I wasn't going crazy. That the feelings, the noises, all of the stuff. And I get this interest in it because it's like you've experienced it and you need to almost search to get more proof that you weren't crazy when you were younger. It's that feeling like you are so interested in reading ghost stories, going on the ghost tours, just to know inside, like, yes, okay, that's true. Do you meet people that are just complete non-believers?
Yeah, all the time. I've got friends who are.
What do you say? I mean, it's interesting to have friends, right?
I get on with them really well because even on the tours we say, look, it's going to come down to your own experience. I can't prove to you that ghosts exist by giving you a tour unless something happens. I say that's fine. That's the way it should be. We should be thinking. We should be questioning. There's nothing wrong with skepticism. Skepticism means you're just going to question it until you're sure or you've had that experience. Cynicism is something different. It's like, that's as far over there as the believer over there. But skepticism is healthy. And if we want to get to what is real and not what we want it to be, then you've got to have that healthy skepticism as well to be able to rationalize, question and go, okay, I really can't rationalize that one. So there's nothing wrong with skeptics. I get on with them. We get them on the tours and we're not shoving it down their throats. So they're pretty happy with that. So.
Yeah. So what is, I'm dying to know, what is your definition or from your experience and all of the work that you do, what do you believe a ghost is?
I say also, I haven't made my mind up. I would like to think it is a departed person. And that seems to be my experience, that our consciousness does continue. I've just had too many things happen. I'm in these places all the time. There's always that little question, is it? Or is it something just playing to what we want to believe? If you believe in UFOs, is it those little aliens with black eyes? If you believe in ghosts, is it going to take the form of a ghost? The one thing I'm sure of, science hasn't explained everything yet.
Yes.
That's for definite. And there's a huge universe out there they don't know anything about yet. So it's not unfeasible that they just haven't looked at it or even found what the component of it is. Is it a dead person? God, I hope so. We're all going to get there, aren't we?
Yeah. Exactly.
I think if you want my belief, yes, from my experience, it is a person who's departed. It's for whatever reason, they're still there.
I'd love to ask you just a little bit deeper on that, because I guess there's the concept too that, okay, if you believe in souls and afterlife and that we continue on to another realm, another existence, or maybe even another life, then the ghost can, in some trains of thought, it is, the actual spirit of that person. In others, it's like an imprint or almost like a held on to memory in space and time. Do you have any thoughts or in your experience about what that might be?
Yeah, look, we get that at the Adelaide jail. We get the smell of baking bread and the whole tour will smell it. And there isn't a bakery near us. But we're walking, as it happens, we happen to be walking close to the kitchen that hasn't been used in, it closed down in 1988, but it used to bake bread when it was a working jail, because the prisoners used to bake bread for the hospital. And sometimes you'll smell that, or you'll hear a piano playing and in the jail itself. And we don't have a piano in the jail. We used to be in the chapel. Is that a ghost? I don't think so. I think it's like you say, it's an imprint just playing out. There's another theory, and I'm not going to go into it because I'm not brilliant at physics, but the other theory is that time is happening all around us.
Yes.
We're just one timeline.
Yeah.
Sometimes does it clip and we hear what we think is the past, but it's not, it's happening. But we're hearing it from our timeline. So maybe it just clips. I'm not going to go too deep into that. But it's a fascinating one. I have just bought, yesterday, I just bought a book on physics. Quantum physics is like, okay, I'm going to look into this one a lot more, but I want to understand it first.
Yeah, I love that theory because it's almost like intersecting timelines. And it's like, even though everything is happening in, the ever now, that you're transiting through a space and time where they are baking bread, whatever, hundreds of years ago. It's like, oh my God, that just...
and it's just, why not? It actually makes more sense in a building holding onto a recording. Also, it would also explain living ghosts as well.
Oh, what's a living ghost?
That's a phenomenon in itself. And just for an example, say, my son went to America, and I know he's in America. I come out my kitchen, go across my hallway, and there, going into his bedroom, is my son. It hasn't happened, by the way, but I'm using it as an
Okay, that's the timeline intersection.
Yeah, and then you start to worry. You think, oh my God, something's happened to my son. He's in America. He must be, dead or something, ghost. And you ring him up and he goes, no, I'm fine. I'm over here. But could it have been you've just seen the past playing out?
Yes.
Yeah. This is an interesting conversation, this one, isn't it?
I want to go down the rabbit hole. You know what I think the problem is? I think the problem is we all try and put it into one box.
Yes, absolutely.
I think there's so much different stuff happening that we're all trying to fit it into, is it a ghost? Is it this? I think it's this. I think it's that. And we're not looking at the bigger picture that maybe there's a lot more happening that, we're just trying to clump it in one place.
Yeah, and we all have such limited understanding anyway. We only have this amount, and we're like we don't know what we don't know.
I think we're like an ant in a city. It's like we've got no idea or conception of what the city is.
Yes,
just
great
living in our own little world, but there's a bigger whole picture out there that we're not even aware of. I don't think.
Oh, absolutely, and I think everyone that's probably listening to this is going to agree on everything you've just said there. And I feel like, my understanding of what I've come to with my experiences, things such as poltergeist, as an example, are energies. Have you had experiences now in your adult life where you've seen evidence of, things being moved, energy in action, or a ghost, or whatever, your understanding is?
Yeah.
And can you share some of those stories?
Yeah, one of the biggest ones was recently. I think the video is on YouTube. It's on one of our podcasts. It was the Christmas one last year. If they go to that one, it is on there. So I was doing a tour at Tailem Town, and we do keep the tours very, very real. A lot of time nothing happens. And there's a mannequin at the end of the counter. It's in a 90-degree cut out of wood, so it's wedged in there. And thrown across the room. I had been in there a couple of years earlier. I was dismantling a camera, and the mannequin suddenly left that corner, hit the door in a diagonal motion, which trajectory should have been, it slid along the ledge and should have fallen in front of it where it was standing. But it didn't. It slid across the ledge and then diagonally went and hit the door, which is not comfortable when you're in there on your own with a tiny little torch. So I was telling that story, which I have for years. I was telling that story to the tour last year, and as I said, and then just as I was undoing a plug on an infrared spotlight, this mannequin, I turned and I put my torch on the mannequin, and you'll see the mannequin pivot on the spot. Now, I'm standing there literally speechless as well, going, did everybody just see that? Like, we're all frozen. And then the mannequin goes flying into the group in front. Of course, it's just hilarious because arms are going. Oh my God. Mannequin comes back in my direction, ends up in bits. The last bit I think was definitely natural. because by pivoting, it had put itself off balance, and a lady had been leaning against the counter and jumped forward to see what was happening, so that toppled her. So that part is funny because you hear all the screams, but I think that was natural, and it was the correct trajectory as well. But the pivot, she's wedged into 90 degrees of wood. You can't pivot very well in 90 degrees, and there was no reason for it. I went in a week later with my video camera and my guide, and we tried for half an hour to get that motion, and we couldn't. So that would be the one that is in my head as being the most recent that I've had. There's been others.
Do you get a sense of like feeling when you have anything happen like that? Oh, this is good energy, this is maybe negative energy?
It's a hard, not when it's happening, because I think the adrenaline kicks in and you're not thinking about that. If I go into a building, sometimes you just feel, I'm not a medium, by the way, I'm not a psychic or medium. I do have members in the family that are, but I'm not. But it doesn't matter whether you are or you aren't. There is a feel about some places that you just go, that's not feeling good. That's really not. Or it's feeling very, very negative or angry, or just not a happy feel about it. So yeah, you do. But when things are happening, I think you're just focusing on what's happening at the time. The adrenaline goes. So yeah.
Oh gosh, I'm dying to ask this. So this it's almost wanted to be my first question that I would blurt out, but it's like, what has been some of the like scariest locations that you have visited? So either yourself or that you've brought a tour to. And if I can get you to pick one in Australia and pick one overseas, because I know you do so much overseas as well.
But I'm back. Well, I'm back over to you in 6 weeks' time.
So, fantastic.
I think the scariest one here isn't a well-known one. I do a building called Z Ward, and it was the criminal insane ward of the big asylum we used to have.
Yeah.
But there's another building which I would give up Z Ward for. You would think Z Ward would be the worst.
Yeah.
I would give it up any day for this building. And there's another building called the Elms, and it's where the women went. And emergency medical team, which are volunteer ambulance people here, they had the middle floor as their office. And they called me in long before tours. They called me in because they were seeing and hearing a child. So we went in to investigate it. And of course, they got called out because they have a case. They couldn't leave the doors unlocked, so they had to lock the doors and lock me in.
So God.
In this 3-story building on my own. They said, don't go. They said, you can go upstairs, but don't put any torches on because we're not really supposed to be up there and security will see. And I went, okay, fair enough. So I went up there, everything felt fine. It was still daylight. I was taking photographs. And then I thought, I'll do a bit of investigating, put the camera out. And I was standing there. It's a T-shaped long hallway with another section that goes down to the old ice bath therapy area. And I'm standing there going, if anybody wants to come and talk to me, then, come. on the video, you'll see me going, it's really quiet in here. And then you'll hear a growl.
Oh, God.
And I'll just look at the camera. I just freeze and look at the camera and go, apart from that growl just then. And there's a big bang down in the ice therapy room. Asking if that's you, can you do it again? On cue, it did it again. And I said, all right. And I'm talking to the camera. I go, okay, well, can you do it again? And there was this motion, and I saw a shadow of a person go past the frosted glass. Like, okay, well, I can either freeze. By this point, I was terrified. By this point, I thought, well, I can either stay up here, but if it gets worse, I'm going to be frozen to the spot, and I don't know when they come. Or I can go back downstairs, go to where the light is, or downstairs, and continue there where it was light. So I chose that option, and I went down the stairs, and you'll see on the camera, I'm going faster and faster.
Yes.
Still running. It's getting the whole thing is it's like, got around the corner, and as I got around the corner, there's a big boom upstairs of one of the doors, and it's just like, then you'll hear me run down to the light. I got scared. But on the video also, interesting, I'm sitting investigating, you see my hair, once it lift up and move across. And I didn't feel it and I didn't see it until I was doing the editing on it. So
my stomach is churning listening to this. Can I just say
it's a terrifying building. That's the one building I was absolutely terrified of. It's so yeah, it's here in Adelaide. I think that's the scariest building I've ever been into, ever.
Really?
That's
Oh,
only way to describe it. Overseas, my God, so many of them. I think the Indiana State Sanatorium. Again, that's up on our YouTube channel. You'll see Cag, who travels around the world.
Yes, and shout out to Cag.
Yeah, she couldn't get
Yes.
here this early in the morning, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Otherwise she'd be sitting with me. But she and me, we were in this big building. It's derelict. It is owned, and does let groups go in, but it is derelict looking. It's a huge, massive hospital. And we were literally back to back because there was 4 hallways intersecting, and it was terrifying. We were back to back so that if anything came at us, we could see those 2 hallways and she could see those 2 hallways. We were absolutely, that was scary, that place. There was those creepy wheelchairs everywhere as well. Oh my gosh. All you hear Cag saying as we're walking around with the cameras is, will you get off me? Get off me, like this. I'm like grabbing her arm like this as I go around. Like that wheelchair moves. That wheelchair moves.
Oh my gosh, we so need to get links to these in the show notes so we can share them with everybody, because it's scary enough hearing this. For our listeners who are brave enough, they'll, I'm sure, want to follow through the YouTube channel and actually see this, because that's the evidence of it.
I will warn people, the YouTube channel, Cag and me, we've done it. It's not like the tours. The tours we take very seriously. The YouTube channel was more, it was like, if we started off, we were trying to showcase places in after COVID, try and get tourism back, being in tourism myself. Yeah. And then it just took off. We were accidental. We call ourselves accidental YouTubers because it was never meant to be. We just friends that were traveling and sharing these places that we go to, throwing equipment out, seeing if we get a bite. So it's not hardened investigating.
Yes.
That was different. That was my research. And we sing a lot. We fall over a lot. We may fall asleep in the middle of doing EVP experiments. I guess it's showing the reality of what people cut out of their videos because they want
absolutely, yeah. And
the reality to it.
But I also love that for something that I find a scary topic, I know Liz finds a scary topic, your friendship, like the way you bounce off each other. Like, I mean, there's just such a fantastic quality to that's what kind of balances the scare factor. Like, for me, that's what makes it a little bit safer to be able to watch this. It's like, okay, they've got each other to hold on to.
And also, if you're not getting anything happening, which it's not like the TV shows. It's not like the big YouTube channels. It's, you go in there and you may get absolutely nothing happening. And nobody's going to watch nothing happening for an hour. But we'll start to get tired. We'll start to get delirious. We'll start to tell. The last one had fairy tales, according to us, which were just totally.
I love it.
Looking at the 3 Little Pigs rather a different way than what it was actually written. But it's just entertaining ourselves because nothing's happening. And people have embraced that. And embrace the honesty that nothing's happening. We just revert to just being 2 friends, just answering, and that seems to have worked. So rather than sell out and make things happen.
Can I ask? So that's a really good point, because I know, like, I don't watch a lot of this, but my daughter does. She loves all of this kind of scare factor. It doesn't scare her at all. But because so much of it is hyped up, and, you get the music and you get all of the, there is, for some of them, you wonder, okay, how much of this is orchestrated? How much of this is actual really happening? Yeah. But in your experience, so both, I guess things that you've done tours with, but also when you've gone visiting these locations yourself, what percentage of time would you say something, and it doesn't have to be you've actually physically seen a ghost, but you've had that either prickly feeling or you've had something paranormal taking place?
It's not like, I was in England. We got back from England. We were over there for nearly the whole of September.
Wow.
Well, 3 weeks I was over there. Cag was over there for 2. She came after. I did 16 locations. And really, there wasn't, if you look at the episodes, there's nothing really big happening. It's little things, we may get curious noises, or the Estes experiment, which is the ghost box and headphones, have, brought out a couple of interesting things. But big things in those 16 investigations, there wasn't anything that if you said to me, oh, what was the biggest thing that happened? I would be sitting here going, I don't know. It didn't stand out in the head. So, it's the same with our tours as well. We didn't sell out. I wanted to prove you don't have to sell out and make it tacky and make things up and pretend
Yes.
everything is a ghost for it to be successful. And we ended up, I'm just looking at the awards, we ended up being Hall of Fame in our tour.
Yes.
And that's unheard of for a ghost tour.
Wow.
But it's because we approached it very different and we're very authentic. If it's a possum, I'll say it's a possum. I'll tell them exactly what I'm the killer of dreams. My God, what's that bang? What's that? All right, it's a possum. Instead of playing to it and going, oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
We just wanted to be honest. We wanted to do it like we would be researching it. And we want to be sure what we're having is real and not just what we want it to be. And this is what we try and teach our guests. So to come away from those shows, even our own channel is a bane of my life, because there's always, we'll use the stuff where we get little things happening, but behind me, you can't see it, but up here, I have a 128 terabyte NAS system. That's huge. Cost me 11 grand. It's got investigation footage from every tour that we've done since 2010. Every investigation we did, even as when we're doing research, that's all still on there. But you're not going to see most of it because
Yes.
nothing happened.
Yes.
You're gonna watch
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. It's a little bit like archaeology. It's like, how long can you be an archaeologist for your whole career and come up with only just little tiny little bits and pieces?
But it's exciting when you do.
And it is, but it's still the
so
investigation. It's like that curiosity, the investigation going. And I know for anyone going on a ghost tour, it's not just about what happens. It's also how you build it up in your mind. It's your own curiosity. It's the energetics of the people around you. It's, there's so many more elements to it as well.
Exactly. So no, we've tried to do it differently. So
in terms of your investigations, how do they look? Like, have you got specific pieces of equipment that are your favorite, that you get the best results out of? Can you talk a little bit about that?
yeah, look, we get it all out because the guests basically, and the reason we did this is because people are running off buying this stuff and the equipment is so expensive. It's like one red pot can be about $300. Well, in our terms, $350. And that's just one piece of equipment. We've invested over the years, 15 years now, we've invested about, I would reckon it'd be about $80,000, $90,000. So that'd be, you're about half of what our dollar is. So we've invested a lot of money so people can play with this stuff first and make their own minds up. So I try to be very neutral with the equipment on the tours as to what I like and what I don't like, so that they can actually use it and they can make their minds up, and I show them how to use it properly. For myself, I wouldn't even put out most of that now. I think we're cutting back with the equipment when we're doing YouTube a little bit more, because to carry it all around, how many different versions of an EMF beta do you need? And
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's all pretty and it's all great when it goes off, but I think my favorite to use, and I know it's very controversial, is the Estes experiment with the ghost box. And so they can't hear the questions, so they're totally unbiased to what they're hearing. And people go, but it's a broken radio. Yeah, I was the biggest skeptic on it. And this was before tours, when my teammates first brought it to me. When can we use this? Why? It's a broken radio. My first introduction to that was my teammate goes, well, can we give it a try? And I was standing in the laneway of the Adelaide jail, and he's got the ghost box running, and nothing was coming out but radio. And I'm like standing there like this going, as I do. And then he pleaded, he said, please, he said, can you just say something to convince her? Now, this ghost box clicks as it goes. I've got the old style that clicks as it goes through the stations, and it was going click, 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 and then it stopped clicking. So it meant it had stopped scanning. And then a male voice came out, went, Alison. And then it just went click, 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 click. And I'm standing there going, coincidence. It's like, but all the way home, I'm driving.
Do it again.
I wasn't going to give out to my teammate, but all the way home, I'm going, what the actual thing? What happened? What just happened?
Wow, that's pretty extraordinary.
And I guess, you only have to have a couple of things. Most of the time it is radio. I agree. A lot of the stuff is, we're trying to make sense of words coming out of radio. It's the old game, isn't it? We all used to play. But sometimes something creeps through that you go, that should never have happened. One was in that building, I said, was the scariest one. This is up online, by the way. I have got those episodes up online.
Great.
And you'll hear, I've got the ghost box running. It stops. It sticks on a cookery show. and then I get it going again. But what I didn't hear until I was editing when I got home was the little under voice, because you can hear the woman talking about cookery, and then you hear a male under voice sneak under going, "Hello, is that Alison?" And it was like, whoa, I think I'm going to go outside for a minute. It's like, because it's a good job I didn't hear that at the time. But yeah, it is there on the original recording. So yeah.
Wow.
So I guess,
That's so
my rational side goes, the ghost box is rubbish. The spirit box is rubbish. It's a broken radio. That was my rational research side. The other side goes, well, without a doubt, we've had things coming through that should just not be coming through. If it was radio, it's too coincidental. And that's why I guess we continue with it. Because I think as long as you're not stupid with it, as long as you're not saying everything is a ghost talking to you, but you're waiting for very rare moments it becomes unusual, then yeah, I think why throw it away? It's just another tool. Just, keep looking.
Yeah.
Do we miss something if we don't use it?
Oh my God. But it kind of makes sense. Like from a physics perspective, you think that if you're tuning into lots and lots and lots of different wavelengths, and like, like manually when we used to go through the stations years ago trying to tune in, and it's like you're getting these scratchy noises and that. But if we are operating on different vibrations or different frequencies, then it kind of makes sense that now obviously it's a fine-tuning exercise to tune into something and at an exact moment, but it's not out of the realms of possibility. So when you do come up with those kind of pieces of evidence, there's probably too many of them stacking up for you to completely dismiss it.
Well, you see, because we're using it day in, day out. We use it on the tours because the tours love it. So probably we're using it, I'm going to say we're using it more without a doubt than most people are using it, because we're running investigation tours nearly every night. And then if we're not doing those, Kag and me are off filming elsewhere for YouTube, or traveling with it. So literally we're running it nearly day in, day out. Most of the time, you can dismiss it all, most of that. But there are those moments. And I guess statistically, we're going to get those moments more than the average person who's just trying once a month or something like that and going, oh, it's just radio. There's nothing coming out. Nothing talking then. There's nothing connecting. Radio frequency is EMF. It's an energy. It's itself. You've got radio frequency bouncing around all around us. All you need is a receiver to take those frequencies and convert it into what we can hear. So, and I'm not even going to pretend to be physics, so I'll probably get shot down by anybody with science. So, and I'm happy with that. I am happy with that, and I do. But from my understanding, if you've got a receiver, and that's what these responses are, they're radio frequency energy, do we need that receiver? Can they use it?
Yes.
To do that? I don't know. We've stopped using two ways. And this would back up that theory. At the jail, we used to use two ways because it's a big place. We need to know where all the teams are. And we stopped using them because we would get another guide ringing through, calling through, going, hey, we've got a problem. Can you come over? And it would mimic the guide perfectly. And of course, that's difficult. They wouldn't do it because it's very hard work. We can't leave a tour on their own. So we have to gather up all our gear, grab the guests, go over to where the other team of guests are, which is a lot of work. And we'll get there and the team's just looking at us going, what are you doing here? And it's like, you called us. And it's like, no, we didn't. God, it was playing like that. So we had to stop using it. But if they can manipulate, there's a bigger story than that, Talem Town. But if they can manipulate that, let's say ghosts exist, and I'm always going to be putting my head out there. Excuse me, I got a little frog in my throat. Stop it. There you go. That's better. So if they can do that on the radio frequency with a two-way, why can't they do it with the white noise and the certain levels of frequency on a bandwidth? So as long as you've got a receiver to receive it. Yeah. I don't know. It's probably just all a load of rubbish as well in my head, but that's what I'm it's all. I would hate it actually if we did explain it all because we love the mystery.
Yes, absolutely.
I think that's why people go on ghost tours, right? Like we want to see something happen. We want to be able to tell the story to our friends. Yeah. We've all grown up sharing ghost stories at our friend's house at sleepovers. We've all done that.
If we knew what it was. It was like,
Absolutely.
explain. We know
It creates the fun. Have you had someone else share a ghost story that really stands out to you? You know, someone respected that you know, and you're like, wow, that's amazing. I'm sure you've heard lots of them.
Oh God, there's so many. And you know when your brain just freezes and
Yeah.
there's so many. I honestly, to pull one out would be really, really difficult. Actually, my guide, who became my best friend, she was a guest at the time. And we were at the National Railway Museum. Her first experience with ghosts, because how it started with her husband bought a ticket for my tours. And she was terrified of the dark as well. She'd been watching all those shows like Most Haunted and thought that's how it was.
Yeah.
Possessed. So she, you know, she was scared at the time. But as she came on the tour, she realised it wasn't like that. But we were down at the National Railway Museum. She was in one of the carriages with another couple doing some investigating there. And they got off the carriage to move elsewhere. And she got off the carriage and she saw what she thought was the other guest's husband going off the other side of the steps, because there's two ways you can get off the carriage. And then she said the person with her said, well, where's my husband? And she said, oh, don't worry about it. I said, he's gone off the other side. He'll be coming back around the other side of that train there. And she looked under. She said, yeah, there's his legs. He'll be coming back around. And then he appeared from down the other way of the aisle. He was nowhere near the carriage at the time. And Kate was convinced it was, she'd just seen the partner. And she could see you could see the legs on the other side of the carriage. She said that was her first ever experience, and that just blew her away. So, and I know I can trust her because Kag has my thinking. She's very rational. She'll look at what it can be first. In fact, she's probably more skeptical than I am, but I've kind of been in this a lot longer. And if she tells me something, then there was another time in Z Ward. We were going to do a live stream. She took some equipment down. We don't use torches. We know the lay of the land of the building. So she took all this ghost hunting equipment down to put it down in the hallway. Happened to look into one of the cells, cell 2, saw a grey see-through bundle on the floor. And she assumed it was storage, that it was fly mesh because it was see-through and it was grey, shadowy. So she went over to try and pick it up to put it in another cell, because we use that cell for guests. And she said, as she got to the doorway to go and pick it up, it suddenly rose up in front of her. And she was a shadowy figure that was about 6'2". And she said she was looking for a torch, couldn't find a torch on her. She wheeled around, came back to me. I was setting up cameras. And she goes, Alison, she said, I think we've got a visitor down in cell 2. There's nothing down there when we got down. But I know I can trust her because she has about as I do, which is not a vast amount. It's usually little stuff, if anything. But
it reminded me of my auntie. She used to work in a National Trust house in England called Riddlesden Hall, and she was always the person that opened up the house in the morning. And the stories that she could tell, you know, the bed being slept in every night and she'd have to straighten it out. Or she used to see a man every so often walking through the shop, but only from his knees upwards. And they found out that the floor had been, you know, the old Roman floor was like meter below. All of these stories. And she was someone that I could trust. So that made it even more terrifying for me. Because I'm like, well, she's not going to bullshit me. She's actually telling the truth.
And that's common. When you look at the reports from England, that's very common that when they're seeing the Roman ghosts or monks or anything like that, then they're missing their lower legs because the roads were much lower in the day.
Is there a more haunted country? Like, because England has all those really old buildings, would you say that you get more hauntings in England than here? In Australia?
Think you've got more locations, yes, because it's an older country. And I don't think there's an inch of England where there hasn't been some sort of battle or slaying over the centuries. The amount of times we got invaded, and I'm going to be sure that nearly every inch will have seen something. So I guess it's more condensed. It's got a longer history. You've still got a lot of the old buildings as well. There, then I suppose America and Australia are in. I can't say a newer country. We are an older country, obviously with an older culture. But when you talk about the settlers, our period with buildings and stuff like that, then England's going to beat pretty much most people on that. I've always not liked the most haunted tag. And I try not to use that because I always say, how do you quantify what is the most haunted? Do all the ghosts just stand there and say, yep,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Attendance list.
I always say, if it's haunted, it's haunted. That's it.
Yeah.
You're having stuff happen. It's a haunted building. Most haunted is more of a marketing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
This house may be the most haunted in the world,
Yeah.
but it's not going to be marketed. And I think
Yes.
that even in my own marketing, you'll see I refrain from saying this is the most haunted jail. On our videos, I refrain from going down that track in the most haunted prison. And I just don't, because I just don't believe in it using that term. I think it's just marketing.
Just on that, because you talk about marketing and, you hear about, the Stanley Hotel and places like that, the most haunted. Is there anywhere in the world that you haven't traveled to yet that's on your kind of ghost tour or, investigation bucket list?
I mean, we don't take the tours anywhere but our own locations. So, because we like to get nothing against the public. We love you. But nice to just visit, to just travel with your mate. And that's our relax, if you like, best friend. But oh gosh, places I'd love to investigate that I never could would be the Tower of London. Would be one.
Oh, that would be interesting.
That would be probably the top of everybody's bucket list. But never gonna let anybody in there. But it would be interesting. Yeah, well, America is just full of places. I've got Google My Maps that is just full of pins that we haven't done yet. So we'll be back in America in May. So we should do another 10, 11 in May, investigations there. So I have a fascination with asylums and prisons, I guess.
Okay, gosh. And I love that you do so much work overseas. And I think just I don't know whether collaborations is the right word, but you'll often kind of meet up or intersect or interact with other investigators in that. What's that like for you? Because obviously you've got different methodologies, different way of, maybe marketing or, for some people, but for other people, it's you're showing the authentic side. What's that community like?
I guess you tend to stick to the people who have the same values as you do.
Yes.
And the same way of doing stuff. Like we collaborate a lot with Paranormal Quest. Amy's Crypt. Amy's Crypt only lives half an hour down the road. She's a good friend of ours. She's like my adopted daughter.
Oh, I love it.
And the boys, that's in Paranormal Quest, not the group The Boys, but Paranormal Quest. We fell into a friendship because we hired the West Virginia Penitentiary, and Paranormal Quest were guides there at the time. And they're a small channel. I think they only had 12,000 followers when we first met them. So now they're 200 and something.
Wow.
And we hit it off, and we just have so much fun. Last year we did we called it the Wild West Tour.
Yes, I think
Misty Children comes from getting them to sing with us, and we do karaoke. But the Misty Children, that's the Wild West Tour. So we went all the way through Arizona and all the way through the Wild West with these guys, and we just laughed. If you saw it behind the scenes, it was just laugh because we got the same sense of humor as well.
Yeah.
So I guess we do collaborate. We tend to collaborate with people we know, and we know have the same sense of humor and the same ethics that they don't put anything on.
Yes.
Amy's Crypt is the same. We have so much fun, and they are the nicest, most genuine people that I know they're never going to let us down. I know that people go, well, you working with them. Yeah. So it becomes out of a friendship more than anything. To say that we just do it with big channels, we don't. There's an episode up that we did with the Side-Eye guy, and another one with Beardo, Get Scared. They're the two big debunkers.
Okay.
In fact, how I met Beardo was he tried to debunk there's a poltergeist thing for you. Tried to debunk one of our videos because I was at 30 East Drive, the poltergeist house, on my own doing a lone vigil. And I thought, I did not believe in it at all. And I'd put a little rag doll I found in a bedroom up at the top of the stairs. And in the video, it is up. In the video, I actually point at the rag doll. I said, there's a doll at the top of the stairs. I said, it shouldn't. And as I said that, I pointed to the doll. The doll did a double flip, came down the stairs and then landed perfectly 3 steps down. You will hear me stop breathing. Completely breathing. Because at that point, I thought Third East Drive was a load of,
Yeah.
BS. And that's why I'm acting all nonchalant, like I am on my own, doing a live stream. Nobody's in the house. I'm just on my own. Because Kag was back in Australia.
Yeah.
At that moment, that changed the moment. But Beardo tried to debunk it. And that's how I got to hear about Beardo. And he couldn't debunk it. And he still today agrees, because I did a live stream. I did it live from picking the doll up, putting it to the top of the step. So you can see I have no time to put wires or anything else on it. And he's our biggest supporter on that video. And I guess, so we've done collabs with him. We've done collabs with Side Eye Guy. We've had a lot of fun. They hate what we do. We knock them for that. But we had to show that we have that sense of humour and we can take the mickey out of them for not listening at all.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
So, we'll work with anybody as long as they've got a sense of humour and they're real people. And you can have fun.
Oh, I've just kind of worked out that I feel like anyone that does ghost hunting, paranormal stuff, are just pure adrenaline junkies. So the way that you get your adrenaline is not jumping off a cliff or jumping out of a plane. You just hang out in haunted houses.
It's like, and that's what it is, isn't it? It's like a junkie, paranormal junkie, the adrenaline junkie. It's like,
my God.
I get it from sitting in dark, creepy places.
That's it. Alison, I feel like I'm going to be going straight to your YouTube channel. We will definitely be sharing some of these videos. I think that we all want to see everything that you've just said with our own eyes.
I apologise for the videos because there's a lot of singing and silliness.
Oh, well, I think you'll fit in just fine with our community.
I think my thinking is, if you're really passionate about something and you're really enjoying it and you love doing it, then why do we have to be so serious about it all the time? If somebody came into my house going, hello, what's your name? When were you here? And you were like freaking out or being just really serious, I wouldn't want to talk to you.
Exactly.
Yes. If we're sitting there and two friends are having fun and a fun conversation, or we're singing, or we're just laughing, telling silly fairy tales.
Bringing it into the real world. That's how we put it.
If we take our consciousness over and our personalities over, then, you're going to want that light relief sometimes, I'm sure. So hopefully we entertain. My thought is, if nothing else, we're probably entertaining them as well. Even if
yes, absolutely.
Like maybe I've made a ghost happy for a moment.
Oh, Alison, it's been such a pleasure. Honestly, so good to hear some terrifying stories. Hopefully I do sleep tonight. Try and take my mind off it by watching something nice on Netflix, I think. But yeah, we will share everything. So if you are listening to this and you're super interested in diving into this YouTube channel and learning more, and if you're in Adelaide and you haven't gone on this ghost tour, please do. And we'll share all of those links too.
You might even get your Kag.
Yes, hopefully. But thank you so much again, Alison. It has been a pleasure. Thank you for sharing all those stories.
And if anybody in England has any venues for us that you know of, stick it
Oh, yes.
I'll be watching for new venues.
List them everywhere underneath all of the links. Get onto our social media, and obviously we'll pop maybe your email address in the show notes as well, and you can email some. And we'd love to hear your ghost stories as well. Please share them. Share. But thanks again, Alison. We'll see you again hopefully very soon.
Hey, thank you for having me.
That's it for another episode. Thank you for listening.
If you're looking for a place to feel at home and want to level up your spiritual game, head to our website, spiritualaf.co, to check out our upcoming online events and for information on how to join our Spiritual Renegades community.
Plus, leave us a 5-star review with an awesome comment on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and we're going to send you a free ticket to one of our Supercharged session events.
Until next time, stay spiritual as fuck.